I never thought I'd be the kind of person who kept a secret from my own family. I always imagined myself as someone who believed in complete honesty, full transparency, open conversations. After all, isn't that what marriage is built on? Isn't that what raising children is supposed to teach you, that trust is everything? But life doesn't always unfold in neat little sayings or pretty motivational quotes. Sometimes reality is messy. Sometimes doing what feels right looks very wrong from the outside. And sometimes you wake up one day and realize you've been hiding something for decades, and you can't even tell if it makes you practical or a traitor. I'm 48 years old. I've been married for 26 years. I have 2 grown children, both in their 20s, both still figuring out life, jobs, apartments, relationships, the whole messy young adult world. And you've been the one steady anchor in all of it. The bill payer, the check writer, the budgeter, the one who holds everything together when everyone else is too busy, too distracted, or too careless. But the truth, for more than 20 years, I've been keeping a secret. I have money set aside that nobody knows about. Not my husband, not my kids, not my siblings, not even my closest friend. Just me. And before you jump to conclusions, no, I'm not stashing cash to run away. I'm not planning some dramatic divorce or living a double life. I'm not gambling or hiding debt. Quite the opposite, actually. I've been saving, quietly, patiently, obsessively. It started small, back in the early years of our marriage, when money was tight and we were living paycheck to paycheck. I used to round up when I paid bills. If the electric bill was $142, I'd tell my husband it was $160. That extra $18, I'd slip it into a separate little envelope I kept tucked away. At first it felt harmless, almost like a game. He hated dealing with the bills anyway, so I handled them. What harm was it if I skimmed a tiny bit for later? But as time went on, I realized how good it felt to see that envelope grow thicker. While my husband would buy himself a new gadget, some tool he swore would change everything, or the latest tech toy, I'd quietly add another $20 bill to my stash. When our friends bragged about spontaneous vacations or expensive dinners, I would smile politely, but inside I was calculating how much of our fun money I could redirect into my hidden savings. It wasn't that I didn't trust my husband. I love him, still do. He's a good man in so many ways, hardworking, funny, supportive, and loyal. But when it came to money, he was reckless. He always has been. The kind of person who says, "Well, figure it out later," while sliding his card for something we don't really need. And later usually meant stress, fights, overdraft fees, and me crying at the kitchen table, wondering how to stretch $50 across an entire week of groceries. I grew up in a household where money or the lack of it dictated everything. My parents fought constantly, loud, ugly fights that left holes in the walls and scars on our hearts. My mom would scream about my dad wasting money on beer. My dad would snap back about her nagging. And my sister and I would sit in our shared bedroom, listening through the thin walls, praying it would stop. We had nights when the lights were shut off, when dinner was nothing but buttered bread, when school field trips had to be skipped because there was no way to afford the $5 fee. So, by the time I became an adult, money wasn't just paper to me. It was safety. It was air. It was the one thing that could mean the difference between peace and chaos. That's why, when I got married, I made a vow to myself, not just to my husband, not just at the altar, but deep inside myself. I will never be powerless when it comes to money. I will never live with that sick, gnawing fear again. And so, my little habit of rounding up bills turned into something bigger. I opened a separate savings account. Nothing flashy, nothing traceable in our joint paperwork, just a plain account in my name only, at a credit union my husband never had reason to visit. Every paycheck, it'd slip a little extra in. Sometimes it was $20, sometimes $50. On good months, it was $100. Over time, it added up. Years passed, and so did life's ups and downs. Car repairs, medical bills, broken appliances, they all came and went. My husband never changed. If anything, His spending grew bolder. When we finally started making decent money, he upgraded his habits. Instead of cheap gadgets, it became expensive tools, new furniture we didn't need, weekend getaways he booked without asking me first. And don't get me wrong, some of those things brought joy. But always, in the back of my mind, there was a voice whispering, what if? What if he loses his job? What if I get sick? What if something happens tomorrow and we have nothing left? That voice never left me. It still hasn't. I never told him about the account. At first, I thought I'd tell him later, maybe when we had enough saved up. But what was enough? 5,000, 10,000, 50. The truth is, I didn't want him to know because I knew deep down that he'd spend it. He'd see it as our money, something for vacations or home upgrades. And I couldn't bear the thought of watching years of careful saving vanish in a weekend trip to Vegas or a flat-screen TV. So I kept the secret, and it grew. Not just the balance in the account, but the weight on my shoulders. Because hiding money isn't just about the dollars, it's about what it does to you inside. Every time I log in to check the account, my heart races. Every time my husband makes a comment about how we're not great with saving, I feel this stab of guilt, knowing that I am good with saving, he just doesn't know it. Every time my kids make a joke about how I worrying too much, I wonder if they'd still laugh, as they knew I've been quietly guarding their future behind their backs. And yet I can't bring myself to stop. The truth is that hidden account has saved me more than once. There was the time our son's car broke down right before finals, and he needed it to get to campus. My husband said we'd have to put the repair on a credit card, but I knew what that meant: interest piling up, another bill we'd struggle to pay down. Instead, I quietly took money from my secret account and covered it. He never knew. My son never knew. To them, it was just mom made it work again. Then there was the time my husband was laid off for 3 months. We lived off his severance and unemployment, but it wasn't enough. I dipped into my account, just a little, just enough to keep us afloat without raising suspicion. He thought we were lucky. He thought the unemployment checks stretched farther than they really did, and I let him believe it. Those moments made me feel justified, like my secret wasn't betrayal, but protection. Like I wasn't lying, I was saving us. But with every year that passes, the line between right and wrong gets blurrier. Because here is the ugly truth. The account isn't just about emergencies anymore. It's become mine, my safety net, my independence, my secret escape hatch. And there are nights when I sit awake, staring at the ceiling, asking myself the question I'm now asking you. Am I the bad guy here? Am I betraying my family by keeping this secret? Or am I the only one in this house who actually understands what it means to be prepared? I don't have the answer yet. All I know is that the secret isn't going away. If anything, it's growing, and so is the guilt. It's strange how a secret can start out small, almost invisible, and then grow into something that feels like it fills an entire room. In the beginning, my hidden savings were just scraps of extra bills tucked away. But now, more than 2 decades later, the money is real, substantial, and with every dollar that balance grows, the pressure inside me grows with it. Because secrets have weight, and lately, it feels like mine is crushing me. You see, as my children have grown, life hasn't gotten easier, it's only gotten more complicated. Nobody really warns you about that. You think once the diapers are gone, once the homework battles are over, once they're in their 20s, you'll finally be free. But the truth, parenting never ends. The problems just get bigger and far more expensive. My son, God love him, has the best heart, but money burns a hole in his pocket the same way it does in his father's. He's in his late 20s now, working a decent job, but somehow he's always just one paycheck away from disaster. There's always a reason: unexpected car repair, medical bill, temporary setback. And of course, he calls me. Not his dad, me, and my daughter. She's 24, smart as a whip, working her way through grad school. She's independent in so many ways, but life in the city is expensive. Rent, utilities, textbooks, it all adds up. And when things get tight, who does she call? Me again. I don't resent them. They're my children. I would give them the shirt off my back, But sometimes, when I hang up the phone after one of their desperate calls, I stare at the wall and feel this sick twist in my stomach. Because in my head I'm screaming, I could make this all so much easier. I have the money. I could cover everything in one stroke. But I don't. I never touch the hidden account unless it's absolutely unavoidable. Instead, I scrape together money from our visible checking, or I cut back on groceries, or I juggle bills until the due dates line up just right. And then I smile and tell them, "Don't worry, honey, Mom's got it handled." And they believe me. What they don't see is that afterward, I lie awake at night, staring at my phone screen, watching the secret balance glow at me like a guilty beacon. Enough money to pay off my daughter's rent for the rest of the year. Enough to finally buy my son a reliable car. Enough to take away their stress. But I can't, because if I open that door even once, I don't know if he'll ever be able to close it again. And then there's my husband. I love him, but sometimes I feel like I'm married to a teenager when it comes to money. Just last month, he came home with a brand new grill. Huge, stainless steel, state of the art. I'm talking about the kind of grill you'd expect in a restaurant, not a backyard. Price tag, over $2,000. Look at this beauty, he said, grinning ear to ear like a kid on Christmas morning. We'll host so many barbecues. It's an investment in family time. Family time. That's how he justifies it. Never mind that our old grill still worked perfectly fine. Never mind that I'd been quietly stressing about the rising cost of groceries and utilities. Never mind that our daughter had just asked me for help with her rent. I smiled. I clapped. I pretended to share his excitement. But inside, I was screaming, not because of the grill itself, but because of what it represented. Recklessness, short-sightedness, the exact opposite of everything I've been trying to do for decades. And here is the kicker. Later that same week, when the credit card bill came in, he sighed and said, "We really need to start saving more. We're not getting any younger." I wanted to laugh, or cry, or both, because in that moment, I had this bizarre, almost out-of-body realization. I am the saver. I am the safety net. I am the reason we haven't crashed yet. And he doesn't even know it. But instead of feeling proud, I felt hollow. It's not just the money. It's the pretending, the smiling while dying inside, the acting like everything is fine when I know it isn't. And sometimes, I wonder if I'm starting to resent him for it. I catch myself watching him as he shops online, adding things to his cart without a second thought. I see him brag to his friends about how we're comfortable. We manage fine. And I want to shake him and scream, "We only manage fine because I've been quietly fixing your messes behind your back for 20 years. But instead, I swallow it. Because what else can I do? And then the guilt sets in again. Because what if A's not the problem? What if I am? What if this isn't about him at all, but about me, about my inability to let go of the fear I grew up with? Maybe I've taken it too far. Maybe what I see as being prepared is really just hoarding, fueled by childhood trauma. Maybe hiding money isn't about protecting my family at all, it's about protecting myself from ghosts that no longer exist. That thought terrifies me. But then reality always comes crashing back, like the other day, when my daughter called sobbing because her landlord was threatening eviction over a late payment. I rushed to transfer money from our regular account, juggling payments just to cover it. And when my husband found out, do you know what he said? "She needs to grow up. Stop bailing her out. We can't afford to keep doing this. We can't afford it." Those were his exact words. And all I could think was, yes, we can. We can afford it 10 times over. But you don't know that, because I've been keeping the truth from you. That night, he went to bed angry. I stayed up, staring at the secret account again, finger hovering over the transfer button, debating with myself 4 hours. Should I do it? Should I just admit everything and use the money? But I didn't. I couldn't. Because if I reveal the account now, 26 years into our marriage, how do I explain it? How do I tell him that I've been keeping this from him all along? How do I convince him it wasn't about deception, but survival? He'd see it as betrayal. My kids would see it as betrayal. And maybe they'd be right. So I closed the app. I shoved my phone aside. And I cried. Not because I couldn't help my daughter, because I did. Not because of my husband's anger, because I'm used to it. I cried because I felt trapped. Between guilt and fear. Between honesty and survival. Between love for my family and the instinct to protect myself, no matter the cost. And every day, that trap gets tighter. Because the money isn't just numbers on a screen anymore. It's a wall. A barrier between me and the people I love most. A constant reminder that I am living a double life. Loving wife and mother on the outside, secret holder of stability on the inside. And I don't know how much longer I can keep it up. Secrets have a way of catching up to you. They lurk in the shadows for years, sometimes decades, and then suddenly, one ordinary day, they start pressing so hard against the walls you've built that you feel certain they're about to burst. That's where I am now, at the breaking point. It started like so many moments in my life with a phone call from my daughter. Her voice was shaky, panicked. She'd fallen behind on rent again. She'd tried to juggle shifts at her job and classes, but it just wasn't enough. "Mom," she whispered through tears, "if I don't pay by Friday, they'll lock me out." My heart broke. I could picture her in that tiny apartment, surrounded by textbooks, drowning in pressure, trying so hard to make it on her own. And in that moment, the mother in me wanted to fix it all. I wanted to say, "Don't worry, sweetheart, you'll cover it. You'll never have to stress again." Because the truth is, I could. I could end all of her financial worries in one single transfer from my secret account. But instead, I told her, "I'll see what I can do." My safe, practice line. After I hung up, I went straight to my husband. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd see it differently this time. Maybe he'd agree that we should step in and help her. But he didn't. He exploded. "She needs to grow up, damn it. She's 24. How long are we going to keep bailing her out? You're enabling her, and I'm sick of it. We don't have the money for this." Those words, "we don't have the money," hit me like a punch in the chest. Because in reality, we did. We had more than enough. But only I knew it, and the weight of that secret nearly crushed me right there in the living room. I wanted to scream. "We do have the money. I've been saving for decades. I've kept us safe all these years, while you spent without thinking." But I didn't. I bit my tongue so hard it almost bled. He stormed out of the room, muttering about irresponsibility and tough love, while I sat frozen, staring at the carpet, trembling. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat in the dark at the kitchen table with my laptop open. I logged into my secret account. The balance glowed at me from the screen. More than enough to cover my daughter's rent. More than enough to pay off her loans. More than enough to erase the stress that had been eating her alive. My finger hovered over the transfer button. I could do it. In less than 5 minutes, I could solve everything. My daughter would be safe. She'd never know how. She'd just think Mom pulled off another miracle. But then my husband's voice echoed in my head, "We don't have the money." And the guilt hit me like a tidal wave. Because the truth is, I was lying to him every single day. I was lying by omission, by silence, by guarding this account like it was my lifeline. And maybe it was. But it was also a wedge, a barrier between us. I sat there for hours, tears running down my face, asking myself the same question over and over. What kind of wife hides money from her husband for 26 years? What kind of mother holds back when her children are struggling? What kind of person does that make me? The next morning, I went through the motions: coffee, breakfast, dishes, but inside, I was unraveling. I looked at my husband across the table and felt a pang of guilt, so sharp it was almost physical. He smiled at me, talked about his plans for the weekend, completely oblivious to the storm raging inside me. And then, later that day, something happened that nearly shattered me. I overheard him on the phone with his brother. They were joking about retirement, about savings, about how expensive everything had become. And then my husband said, "Well, thank God for my wife. She makes it all work. I don't know how she does it, but she always makes it work." I had to leave the room. I couldn't breathe. Because he was right. I do make it work. But he doesn't know the cost. He doesn't know the secrets I carry like a stone in my chest. He doesn't know that the very foundation of our marriage, the trust he thinks we have, is cracked, maybe beyond repair. That night, lying in bed beside him, I stared at the ceiling and wondered, should I tell him? Should I come clean, right here, right now, and lay it all out, the years of hidden deposits, the separate account, the money that could change everything? I imagined the look on his face, the hurt, the betrayal, the anger, maybe even the disbelief, and I froze. Because if I tell him, I risk everything, the marriage, the trust, the image of who I am in his eyes. But if I don't, I risk losing myself. And so, here I am, at the breaking point. I don't know what's worse, the fear of being found out, or the guilt of never telling the truth. Maybe I'm selfish. Maybe I'm the only one in this family who truly sees the storm coming. Or maybe I'm betraying the very people I love the most. I don't know anymore. All I know is that for over 20 years, I've been living a double life, devoted wife and mother on the outside, secret guardian of money on the inside, and the two versions of me are colliding. So I'm asking you, the people hearing my story, am I the a hole for hiding money from my own family?